Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and it seems like there's always different themes that come in and out of style. Of course, zombies is always around, Cthulhu is always around. Vikings have not always been around. There's only so many games that have Vikings, but there are more and more games that have Vikings as a theme. Now, I like the whole Viking Norse theme, Valhalla, Odin, whether the Vikings have horns or not, whether it's realistic or fake. I prefer the kind of fake mythological Vikings myself because that's fun. I like the whole aspect of that glory and death type thing. And so I just thought I would make a list of my top 10 favorite Viking games. Here we go. Number 10 is Yggdrasil. Now, there's actually not a lot of Vikings in Yggdrasil. It's mostly the gods, Thor and Hera and all this. This is a cooperative game where you're trying to stop, a pile of bad guys and using the good guys to stop the living tree, Yggdrasil, from being destroyed. It's very, very difficult. I've never won it. But it is a good game, and that is Yggdrasil. Number 9 is called Vikings. Well, this was kind of a gimme, right? Vikings is a Euro game, actually, in which you are building an area with tiles, and you're going to get these tiles from kind of this rondel thing, and different Vikings to put them on there and place them. It does not have a very pillage and plunder style feel to it, but it is a very excellent game, Vikings. Number 8 is In the Name of Odin. This one I believe I played last year or so. It's a competitive game, and you are building up and trying to control different spots and get victory points and send your people out on missions, and so you get new ships and you get different heroes to join. And it's kind of a worker placement style game where you have different kinds of workers, and there's a lot going on. It's not as robust as I would like it to be, but it has some pretty neat pieces and has a good Viking flavor to it. That's In the Name of Odin. Number 7 is the Jarl. This one is based on the game The Duke, which was a very abstract two-player game. The Jarl is very similar. You have these pieces. You're trying to capture your opponent's Jarl, and you do so by moving the piece according to how it shows you how it moves, and then you flip the piece over, and you have all different pieces. Now, the Duke was sliding across the board and stuff. The Jarl is a much more close hand-to-hand one with a lot of pieces having defensive maneuvers on them, which kind of brings the Viking theme out even in this abstract game. So, Jarl. Number 6 is 878 Vikings. This is from the folks, Academy Games, who made 1775 and 1812. They use the same system, a system I really like, and they brought it now into the Viking era. This is one that's more realistic than not, and so it's just a game with a bunch of little Vikings all over the board, and you're all fighting each other, trying to control regions and dice combat, but it's very light style, but offers a lot of tactics and strategy. Very good game. Number 5 is Jorvik. This game here, which was based on another earlier game, and it's Viking in theme, right? You're trying to get different cards. It will win you the game. Different cards will give you different points, resources. How do you do that? Through a very weird bidding system where you'll put one of your Vikings on a certain spot, and you're going to get that card. You're going to buy it for 1 coin. But if someone else puts one there, then you have to pay 2 coins. If someone else puts one there, you have to pay 3 coins. So the more that are there, the more it costs. So if 6 people put it there, I'm not paying 6 coins for this. So then my guy goes away. So then the second person says, I'll buy it for 5. 5's too expensive. So the third person says, well, I'm definitely buying it for 4. It's a really interesting way to bid. I like it. That's Jorvik. All right, here we go. Number 4, Vikings Gone Wild. Now, this is a silly Viking game of sorts, a deck-building style game. You can play it competitively. There's a cooperative variant to it, but I like it best competitively, where you're using your deck to buy different things, to buy heroes, to get a card no one else has. You can attack other players, but you don't really hurt the other players. You just get points for yourself, but they can also get points for defending. Some really good styles. This is based on a mobile game, and they did a really good job at bringing it over. Some really cool expansions for it. That's Vikings Gone Wild. Number 3 is... There's such a huge jump here with these top 3. These top 3 are just amazing games. Number 3 is Raiders of the North Sea. Raiders of the North Sea is just a fantastic game, especially when you combine its expansions. I highly recommend the expansions. Now, this is one of 3 games in a series. There's also Shipwrights of the Seas and Explorers of the Seas. Those games are not nearly as good as Raiders of the North Sea. This is a worker placement game where you place a worker and then you pull a worker off. And you're constantly doing this, trying to get enough people in your ship to go out and raid at areas and get points for that. The artwork is really cool. There's so many different possibilities and different ways to get points, especially when you add in the expansions. I just love it. Great game. Number 2 is one of the most popular games in this genre for sure, and that is Blood Rage. Blood Rage from Eric Lang. This is a fantastic game with monsters. I mean, it's a fantastical game for sure. And it's based on an earlier game he did called Midgard. But I like this game not because it has cool big miniatures. It does. And not because it has really cool card combat where you're playing cards trying to outdo the other person. And not because it has if you die, those cards, when you die, you get glory for dying. And not because the Ragnarok is coming and blowing up part of the board. It's really just because it's all those things put together into a really tightly fun game. It's just every time you're done playing, like, that was a great experience. A lot of fun. My number 2, Blood Rage. And my favorite Viking-themed game is Champions of Midgard. Now, caveat, it probably wouldn't be in the top 4 without its expansion, Valhalla, but with that expansion, it's amazing. Champions of Midgard is a worker placement game where you're placing workers out and getting your Vikings. Vikings in this game are dice. And you will be rolling these dice to fight monsters and fantastical beasts and all sorts of mythological creatures, and then getting points for doing that. But when you add Valhalla, when they die, you will also be able to use those to get points. There's so many different dice that you have. You have to figure out, do I want a die that has a lot of attack sides or some defensive sides? The game's going to feel a little bit different every time you play it because there's different spaces for the workers to go. It is just an excellent, all-around, wonderful game. I highly recommend it. I love playing it. That's Champions of Midgard with the Valhalla expansion. Those are my 10 favorite Viking games. What did I miss? Tell me in the comments. Until next time, though, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching the Dice Tower Top 10 Viking Games.